Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Let's talk cheapies. I want to talk to you today about 15 of the best fragrances that you can buy for under $50 from discounters in the US. And hopefully if you're not in the US, you can still find these ones on the cheap. And this is actually a video put together by you guys. You gave me what, in your opinion, are the best fragrances that you can buy for a little bit of money. I put a post up on the community tab actually asking you guys that question. So a shout out to everyone that answered and everybody that voted. There's another question for a future video up on the community tab right now if you want to check it out and potentially be featured in a future video. First up, we've got NickScan6444 who says, probably Salvatore Ferragamo Uomo and Uomo Signature. Smells downright edible, projects well, and lasts a long time, all for an almost cheapy price. Great line, needs more love, from Ferragamo. Yeah, I've been harping about this for a while, that this line appears to pretty much be dead at the moment. I hope that Ferragamo brings back some new fragrances, but it's been a minute since we've gotten anything new here. And for me, I completely agree with you that these are the two standout fragrances. Now, Urban Feel, that one is good too. Casual Life, also good. And those are both inexpensive as well. So if you want something that's more versatile, those two may be a better choice because these are more for fall and winter time, but I think that they're awesome for cool weather. Both of these, as you point out, have good projection, good longevity, so they've got nice performance, good bang for your buck. They're actually kind of an unheralded compliment beast as well, both of these. I've always gotten great reactions with these. They have a nice coffee note to them, a tiramisu note, so you have sweetness in there. It kind of balances out that coffee a little bit. But both of these are top-notch choices. And the bottles can be a little love it or hate it, I guess, with like the Ferragamo on the side and the built-in atomizer, but I actually think they're pretty cool. So Uomo and Uomo Signature starting off strong. These are awesome choices. And you say, almost a cheapy price. These are cheap. Come on, these are cheap. They're both about 40 bucks. Sometimes you can find them for a little bit less. And speaking about finding fragrances for less, here are a bunch of codes you can use to save money at all these different websites. GS11, 11% off flat rate across the entire website of fragflex.com, which is a newer fragrance discounter that is run by the same people behind Fragrance Buy. And then you have Twisted Lily, you've got Max Aroma, Gents 10, and also Gents 20 on Max Aroma. Got a lot of niche fragrances there, and Triple Traders has a ton of clones. All right, let's keep it going with the clone fragrance. Michael Styles, sounds like a wrestler name. Victorioso Victory by Maison Alhambra gets my vote. For a clone, it just absolutely crushes, and for $20 or less, I literally almost can't tell between it and Invictus Victory. The stuff is just amazing. This is another one that I agree with completely. Victorioso Victory, for the price point, is great. It's really inexpensive. Actually, the bottle has a nice heft to it, so it doesn't look too cheap or feel cheap or anything like that. And it is very close to Invictus Victory. And at times, this has been, as Michael said, right at about 20 bucks. I think it maybe has creeped up sometimes to closer to 25, but it hovers right around 20. And for that price point, it is top notch, especially in the air. This is extremely close to Invictus Victory, to the point that, as Michael says, most people are not gonna be able to tell the difference at all. And it's much, much cheaper. So that's a good selling point right there. I guess that's the whole deal with clones in general, right? So Invictus Victory, if you want that for next to nothing, Victorioso Victory. Also, one thing, kind of as an aside, Maison Alhambra has or had Victorioso Legend, which is a clone of Invictus Legend. Also very well done. So if you want Invictus Legend on the cheap, get that one. But they changed the name, last I checked, to Victorioso Myth. So if you go to Joma Shop, for example, and search up Victorioso Legend, it will pull up Victorioso Myth. And when you click on it, it has the new bottle, the new name there, but in the actual web address, it still says Victorioso Legend. Makes me wonder if somebody at Paco Rabanne didn't give them a call and say, hey, you might want to change that. And if that's the case, I could see Victorioso Victory changing to something else also because, you know, Invictus Legend having to be changed, Invictus Victory, well, we'll see. After that, we have Jeremy T2212 who says, Missoni Pome. It really gets overshadowed by Missoni Wave, but it's still pretty fantastic for the price. Yes, and yes, it does get overshadowed by Missoni Wave, and Missoni Wave is fantastic, especially when you can get that one on the cheap, which Oftentimes you can, but it has had a propensity to sell out sometimes. But Missoni Parfum is right there with it, and this one you can find more regularly and usually a little bit cheaper. Don't get a tester. I got a tester. I regret it every day because I don't have the cool magnetic cap. But regardless, it's the fragrance that counts, right? So Missoni Parfum Pour Homme, this one, it's more similar to a Bleu de Chanel type of fragrance. So Missoni Wave, most people will say, is a little bit similar to Versace Pour Homme or Chanel Allure Homme Sport, kind of in that vein, in that style. This one is more in the style of Bleu de Chanel. So with this, you get a really nice smelling, extremely pleasant, versatile fragrance. You can use daytime or nighttime all year round. The quality is good. The presentation is good when you have a cap. And the cost is not high at all. And it has nice performance also. So Missoni Parfum really is one of those almost hidden gem fragrances where if you know, you know, but most people don't. If we're talking just your average Joe out there, they're not really, sure what Missoni Parfum is. Brett Martucci says, Issey Miyake Fusion DC is that jam. Keeping it real simple. So this one has coconut, fig, and sandalwood as some of the notes in the fragrance. And I would also say Fusion DC Extreme is a really nice cheapie. The price difference between this one and Extreme is, $4 or $5, depending on where you look. But still, yeah, this is one you can pick up for right around 30 or so. So not that expensive. The coconut here, nice, fresh, little bit sweet off the top. Mixes with that fig, has a little green touch to it, some aromatics in there as it dries down, and ambroxan in the base as well. Gonna be more a spring, summertime fragrance, daytime fragrance, office safe, good casual scent. And one that can give you a definite change of pace compared to what most people are wearing out there. Because truth be told, there aren't that many men's fragrances outside of Fusion DC and Extreme and the Le Beau fragrances that make heavy use of coconut in a way that doesn't come across more feminine smelling. So this one, for the price point, can't argue it. It's got pretty good performance as well, especially for the time frames that you typically be using it. But if you want more push, more power, get the Extreme because that does ramp everything up a bit. This one is gonna sit closer to your skin than the Extreme version, which makes sense. Okay, next up, Detroit Goober. I don't know, I saw Goober and it was just like, ugh. Gotta say the classic Cool Water, the wife loves it. Yeah, going with no G here. Cool Water is really, truly one of the classic cheapy fragrances. This thing has been pretty affordable for decades, but it makes sense why. I mean, this is a really nice one. Very green, very aromatic, clean, classy, almost classically masculine at this point. Smells similar, of course, to Green Irish Tweed from Creed, although at a different budget level. And as I've spoken to Richard Arpon, he's a good friend, he's a perfumer. He is the owner of the brand Precious Liquid. He also did Tom Ford Oud Wood. His mentor was Pierre Bourdon, who is the perfumer who did this one. He was telling a story about how he had Cool Water finished, and he was basically shopping it to a bunch of different brands, and they all turned him down. And then the brand that actually said, yeah, we'll release it, was Davidoff. And here we are, decades later, Cool Water is still selling. But one thing Richard has told me is that one of the things that really helped set Cool Water off at the time is that in the designer realm for fragrances and men's fragrances also, ambroxan was not really heavily used. And this was one of the first fragrances that kind of overdosed it a bit. Regardless, I still think this stuff smells really nice. There's a reason it still sells many years after it's been released. And for the price point, kind of a no-brainer. And to me, it's still really wearable. Jason J 8009 says Versace Pour Homme. Can't go wrong. This is one of the go-to cheapy choices out there, and it makes sense why. Another one where you get good bang for your buck. Everybody knows Versace. Everybody. So it's one of those deals where it's a brand name, everyone knows, the cost is not high, and this is one of those dumb reach, easy to wear fragrances, especially for spring, summer, and fall. Clean, little sweet, fresh, it's the typical thing people go for. So it makes sense why this would be one of the go-to cheapies out there, because it's just easy to wrap your head around. Going back to, like, say, Missoni, for example. A lot of people know Missoni, but way more know Versace. So if you have those side by side, your average person would probably be like, well, Versace. And yeah, this was actually one that I wore a bunch in years past. So I got to agree, it is one of the better cheapies out there. And in general, Versace is one of those houses that from discounters is not too expensive. Maybe some of the Eros ones are a little bit higher priced than their other releases, but in general, not that bad. And so you can get, again, good bang for your buck there. Abel Horvath, 6780 says, for me, it is La Lique Encre Noir, All Extreme with no question. This one smooths out the original Encre Noir's roughness with the added orris and sandalwood, while keeping the great aromatic vetiver in focus. I love it for any occasion, basically, and it's worth a lot more than its discounter price. Encre Noir, at least something from this line I feel like has to pop up every time you're talking cheap fragrances, because these ones typically $25, $26, $27, $28, right in that range. Talking the original, sport, and then this one right here. So as was pointed out, this does have vetiver right in there, one of the main focuses of the fragrance, which ties it in, of course, with the original Encre Noir. You have cypress, you have that touch of orris incense in here also. It's green, it's deep, it's a little bit rooty, as the original is, you know, that bit of earthiness in there. Only thing I would caution on this one is if you're just getting into fragrances and you haven't smelled a whole heck of a lot, this is gonna be easily, out of everything we've talked about so far, actually probably everything we will talk about other than one more, the least safe blind buy, especially if you're a younger guy. This could be something where you buy it, you spray it, and immediately hate it. Or even if you like it, you might be like, when am I gonna wear it? Abel's gonna wear it. He's gonna wear it to every occasion. But a lot of people are gonna smell that and be a little, ugh. So while I love it, and a lot of people out there do love it, just keep that in mind. Let's go to another easy wearer from Chris Prime, 7782. Coach for men. I reach for that one more than anything else in that price range. It's just so versatile. Coach for men, actually a top 30 best-selling fragrance in the United States. Very, very, very popular. And one of the reasons is kind of what I talked about with Versace over here. People know the brand, presentation looks good, it's eye-catching, you know, doesn't look cheap at all. Smell the fragrance, so easy to wear. It's gonna give you that blue fragrance versatility, as Chris points out, basically a year-round fragrance. Even during the winter, you can pull that off. Just give a couple sprays extra. Good compliment puller. A lot to love about Coach for Men. So that one makes a ton of sense. And actually, if I were making this list myself, that would be in the list pretty easily, along with some of these others too. Adi UK says, Zadig and Voltaire, this is him. And this is a pretty good choice. You can get this just under $50 in the US. I think you can find it a tester for about 45, or you can get a 50 mil like I have right here for like 48. So just right on the cusp. So this one has pepper, incense, sandalwood, and a nice dose of vanilla too. Now vanilla is very important. If it wasn't in here, it would not smell anywhere near as good as it does. Because the vanilla, it's a little touch powdery, but not too bad, but it blends together seamlessly with that sandalwood, and the sandalwood has kind of a creaminess to it. And that really helps offset and bring balance to the pepper and the incense. Brings balance to the force. A great one for fall and winter. Helps you stand out a little bit too, because not too many people are gonna be wearing this one, but it's a great choice for that under $50 price point. Now, when I saw this one, I was like, well, I don't entirely disagree, but I know a lot of people are gonna be like, how dare you choose that? Gordon Wish Art, 5759, says Jimmy Choo Urban Hero Gold Edition. Super versatile and smells great. So here is the deal with Jimmy Choo Urban Hero and Gold Edition. In general, they get a lot of hate, like a lot of hate. The original Jimmy Choo Urban Hero, I was not too keen on, but I have to say that the Gold Edition I actually like, at least for a cheap fragrance. You know, we're grading it on a little bit of a curve. Obviously, you can look at the bottle and tell that it's a little more youthfully skewed, right? I mean, you got the whole stylistic choice here with the graffiti, Urban Hero, all that. For what it does really well. It's sweet, it's easy to wear, doesn't smell hyper natural or anything. Nah, but for about 40 bucks, it gets the job done really well. The lavender is there kind of around the edges, just gives you a classically masculine touch, basically. The tonka is gonna give you warmth and sweetness as it dries down, and then you have the pineapple and blood orange that grabs your attention right off the top. It's easy to wear, it's a good youthful fragrance, and it will get you compliments. So yeah, it's gonna get hated on online, but for about 40 bucks, this could be a staple in a bunch of guys' collections. All right, Chris, 6815 is next, and he had 3 choices. One of my absolute favorites under 50 bucks is Ray and Tradition's Insurrection Wild 2. It has a lot of similarities to Naxos, and I heard Pure Havan. It smells great and only cost me about $26 delivered. For summer, it would be Versace Man Eau Fraiche. I can't forget Bentley for Men Intense. It has to be one of the best cheapies of all time. So I just figured, heck with it, we'll put all 3 in. So let's run through these three really quickly, starting with Insurrection 2 Wild by Ray and Tradition. Bottle looks good, box looks good. For the price, it's got a really nice presentation. And believe it or not, for the price, this is one of the best cheap tobacco scents you can get, whether we're talking clones or not clones. And as he points out, it does have similarities to Naxos and Pure Havane. Pure Havane, unfortunately, has been discontinued for a while. So if you want something that's gonna kind of get you in that style of those two scents, this is a great choice for next to nothing. Mano Fresh, another best-selling fragrance in the US, and kind of goes back to what I was talking about with Versace Pome. Everybody knows the brand, doesn't cost that much from discounters, makes a lot of sense. It's similar in ways to Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue for women, but with a little more of a masculine lean to it. Fantastic in the summer, really. This is gonna be one of the better vacation fragrances out there. This is like an amazing beach scent, basically. But you can use it, of course, just about anywhere, anytime, because it's that type of scent profile people love. And then Bentley from Intense, I'm gonna slot this one with Encre Noir All Extreme over here. It's great quality. The price point is sick. The problem is a lot of people are not gonna wanna wear this one. So this is gonna be one of those deals where I think it's an amazing buy. I completely agree, actually, that it's an amazing cheapie. But if you're just getting into fragrances or you don't like, you know, darker, woodier scents with, you know, leathery aspects and things, then maybe this is not gonna be for you. It does smell similar to Idole de Luban, which is a really good niche fragrance. So you could use that as an alternative to Idole de Luban if you wanted to pay less. So that's one that I agree, amazing, amazing buy. But if you are just getting into fragrances or if you're a younger guy, it's not the safest blind buy out there. Last but not least, we have Koya 2601. To me, it's John Varvatos Artisan Pure. It was one of my first purchases almost 5 years ago, and I still love it to this day. For me, it's a must-have, and it's in my top 5 of all time. Varvatos in general nowadays at discounters is crazy cheap. A lot of their fragrances you can find for under 30 bucks. Actually, I'd say the majority of them you can. And by and large, across the whole line, they've got good quality, they actually smell fantastic. The only knock has been that some Varvatos fragrances are not strong enough, but when you're paying pennies on the dollar to get them, I wouldn't complain too much. This, very, very good for spring and summer and early fall too. It's clean, it's got a lot of citrus in there, has a nice smoothness to it as well. I've actually got a couple bottles of this just in case it ever gets discontinued and shoots up in price, because I do actually think this smells amazing. Yeah, this was a bit of a hype beast for a while, and to me, it makes perfect sense as to why, especially when you consider the price point. Just don't do that. So there we go, guys. These are your choices. Fragrances under 50 bucks. Awesome choices here, guys. Really good. I want to thank everybody that took part in this, everybody that voted, everybody that commented. If you want to be in a future one, again, community tab of the YouTube channel, there's always a question up there, and you can take part in a future video. Thank you guys so much. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you later.